There's a national call for a major reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Last week, the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released its sixth assessment report. KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean Macaday breaks down the lengthy report.
Another major report on climate change from the United Nations was released last week. And admittedly, it paints a pretty dim picture of the future of our planet if urgent action isn't taken now. But let's be honest, we've heard this beat before. So what's so different about this report? And with all these reports coming out, do people even know what they keep saying?
Here's what it actually says. The report firmly shows us that if we are to avoid massive changes in our local and global climate by keeping us under 1.5 degrees Celsius warming, we need to nearly halve our emissions in the next 8 years. On our current trajectory, we are headed to a 3 to 4 degrees Celsius warmer world. In the upper Midwest, that likely translates to a climate more than 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer. Here's how Kenneth Blumenfeld, a Minnesota state climatologist, describes this.
1.5 degrees, we have, I think, a scenario that would be kind of a continuation of the changes we've already seen. We'd get warmer, we'd get wetter on average, but that's kind of the closest resemblance that we would have to our current climate. Even up at 2 degrees Celsius of total global temperature increase, our climate becomes less recognizable. But at 3 degrees and especially 4 degrees, it would be, by 2060 or so, we would have no idea. It would look very, very different here.
Let's just say it plainly. A 3 to 4 degrees Celsius warmer world would not be a good thing. Lakes here would struggle to stay frozen during winter now that the average high temperature all winter long is above freezing, while other parts of the world would be rendered uninhabitable, as the report states.
But it's not all doom and gloom. The report actually highlights some of the policies which have worked so far and gives us some options as to where we can go from here. And here's the other thing. The price of renewable energy has basically fallen off a cliff, and it's now competitive with other forms of fossil fuel sourced energy. This trend is expected to continue, and the report clearly states that this is one of the most cost-effective ways to mitigate the impacts of climate change. Here's the other thing. Between 2009 and 2019, emissions in a lot of developed nations actually decreased while their GDP continued to rise. This includes the United States.
This progress has made a difference, and it's what will keep us from what could have been an even worse outcome. But it's not enough to be comfortable, and there is more work to do. On a personal level, here's a good way to start.
So sometimes these reports can get pretty heavy, and it definitely can feel gloomy. And it is true that we have a lot of challenges ahead. But I think it's also important that, you can connect with the world that you live in right now. You can go outside and go for a nice walk and look around at the streams and the lakes and the farms around you. And that is essentially what's at stake here. So if you appreciate those things, maybe it'll make the issues at hand a little more tangible.
Meteorologist Sean Macaday, KIMT News 3.
Other small ways you can help are by doing things like saving energy at home, taking public transit, and throwing away less foods. Sean will be going into more detail on climate change next week on Earth Day.